Do you have enough light in your life? Are you soaring in the joy around you? Are you stuck and unable to make life happen? Stay tuned for the Rabbi Jenny Show, where you will learn how to bask in the light and find more joy and meaning in life. Call to talk to Rabbi Jenny at 888-565-1470 and email questions and comments at rabbijenny.com. And now, if you're ready, stay tuned for the Rabbi who will light your world on fire, Rabbi Jenny.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. I am so thrilled to be here. I'm so excited. This is the week before Passover. This is the most exciting week for me because I get to see my delicious niece and my two nephews and my brother and his wife, and I am so thrilled to see them and their family and be with everybody that I love. I wanted to say hi. It's the Rabbi Jenny Show. Our topic tonight is freedom. What is it? And it's inspired, of course, by the story of Passover, and we'll talk about that. But before we do, I want to remind you of some housekeeping things. Please like the Rabbi Jenny Skylark page on Facebook. Check out rabbijenny.tv and contact me and email me. I'll always email you back and answer any questions. You can check me out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that fun stuff, LinkedIn. And please reach out. I want to hear your questions. I want to talk to you. We're doing a lot of lessons each week. We've gone over some really serious stuff. So make sure you rewatch the shows. They're on my timeline on Facebook, and they're also located on the website. And if there's a favorite show, please let us know so we can run it and do the topic again or give you the feedback that you want. The two main ideas. If you are new to the Rabbi Jenny Show, you have to make these two ideas the most important thing in your life because, you know, the Rabbi Jenny Show has to be the most important thing in your life. That was ridiculous. But anyways, you have to make these very, very important because they represent a shift in thinking that will make you free, which is our topic. And this shift in thinking is going from a victim of life to somebody who embraces and becomes the hero of their own life. And this is my passion in shifting this inside people. So the first idea is this, that the world is happening for you and not to you. And that is 100% of the time, the world is happening for you and not to you. And why it is happening for you is nothing out of the ordinary, except the fact that you are a part of everything. You are divine love, light, energy, and you are always expanding and growing and changing, just like every other natural thing on this planet. Yes, you are natural. You can dress up like me. You can wear nice clothes and lipstick, but guess what? Your heart beats with the rhythm of the tide, my friends. We are all part of this earth, and it is something that we can count on daily. And when you realize that and re-enter that whole rhythm, which we talk about rhythm all the time, and the story of Passover is all about re-entering rhythm, the rhythm of life. And when you get back into that rhythm, you can become free to grow and to change with a more effective rate and be true to yourself, which is the real purpose of life. So the topic today is this: what is freedom? And it's inspired by the idea that we don't really, freedom is a funny word, especially in the West. In America, we're free. We have freedom of speech and freedom of this and freedom of that. But I don't think we're talking about that. I think we're talking about a personal freedom, a freedom to choose a different path than the one that was possibly laid out by our ancestry, our lineage, our society, the committee in our head that was recorded by the people we surrounded ourselves when we were young people. We want to be free to make choices. And there's a wonderful quote that's the inspiration for today, and it is by Viktor Frankl. We know him. His beautiful writings, and a big advocate of thriving and not surviving. Viktor Frankl wrote this, and I want you to listen to this. And he says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. I call this, personally, Rabbi Jenny calls this the space for grace. But this is it. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. The problem is we don't make space. We move fast, everybody. We move fast. So let's talk about freedom and what is freedom, and how the story of Passover and the plagues that we know about in the story of Passover are actually a narrative for us to embrace our own process of change. Because freedom comes through change. And change is the most difficult and most counted upon thing when you are part of the natural rhythm of life. We're always changing. We're always growing. And I believe the story of Passover is actually a great code for what happens for the human being when we are changing. So the story goes like this, okay? Moses is sent down a river by his sister, and he's adopted by the Pharaoh's daughter, and he becomes part of the royal family that is enslaving the Israelites, which is Moses' original people, right? So Moses, big Prince Moses, is going through the city, and he sees the Pharaoh's soldiers abusing one of the Israelite slaves, and he becomes enraged and kills him. And in this death, he sees, one would say he might see his own humanity, and he runs. He runs from Pharaoh's soldiers, he runs from his father, and he runs out and sees a burning bush, you know? And I've often asked myself, what's this thing, this burning bush, this burning tree? Did this really happen? What is this about? And I was at home thinking about freedom, and I was thinking about the fact that this burning tree, this life, this tree, when Moses murdered that man, Moses, the savior of all people, when he had the capacity to do something, to feel rage, to feel vengeance, to feel those deep emotions that we all feel, he was a burning tree. He was a force of life that was burning. And I believe the burning tree was, he looked at it and thought, oh my God, that's me. And that is when he said, I am that I am, because he recognized his connection to all life. And that is when he realized his purpose, to go and to free the rest of himself. Because remember, the characters in Scripture are us. It's all parts of us. So the Israelites are the rest of Moses. He is a part of them. And he is going back now to his father and saying, let the rest of me go. I'm ready for the rest of me to be free. This is messy, people. So the number one rule is kindness and compassion with yourself. Because it would be really easy to get a bright idea and go, hey, that's a great idea. I'm going to go against the grain of everybody who's ever told me anything in my life. And then you just do it. Well, guess what? We're not all that person. You know, so this is a process. So Moses goes to his dad, and he says, Dad, you got to let my people go, man. You got to let them go. This isn't right. You got to let them go. They got to come with me. They got to go. I've been told they got to go. I got to go. I got to be free. I got to do my own thing. All right, what happens? Pharaoh's heart is hardened. Now remember, Pharaoh's in you. Pharaoh's the part of you that's connected to old ideas. Pharaoh's your mind. You know, Pharaoh's your thoughts and ideas that are older. They come from your lineage. They may not even make sense to you anymore. You might not even know why you drive the kind of car you drive, if you got really honest. I bet it's because somebody you know liked it a long time ago. I mean, come on. That's a Pharaoh thing. Anyway, so he goes to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh says no. He hardens his heart because he hardens his heart out of fear, because the fear of change, the fear of letting go. So this process that has to happen, which seems grueling and weird when you read it at a literal level. Why are they talking about water turning to blood? And why are they talking about frogs and boils and locusts and cattle getting plagued and darkness and the slaying of the firstborn? And why they are doing that is because that is how ugly it has to get for us to change, my friends. Freedom is not an easy thing. True freedom is not an easy thing. It's not a physical thing. It happens inside. Nelson Mandela knew that when he was free inside the prison walls. Freedom is an inside thing. And it is not easy, and it is a process, and it can be really messy. And the reason why they use these images in Scripture, and why I encourage you to go to these stories, not for their literal meaning, but for their representation. What does that mean that the first plague we attack, we go to the water? Why are the first plagues going towards the water? The very thing that Moses was put in to be free and saved. Why? I ask myself, because thirst. Because when we start to cut off our thirst for life, we begin the process of actually being able to change. So if you are not satisfied, if you are not happy, and you can't figure out why you know what you need to do, but you can't quite do it, I want you to throw yourself a party. Rabbi Jenny style. Like, go out and have a party. And I'm going to tell you how to do that. You're going to go out, and you're going to go out and look at a tree, because that's what Moses did. You're going to go to the beach, and you're going to see, oh, I'm not in my flow, but I feel that I need a flow. I need a change in my life. So you're not going to be hard on yourself, but that's good. You're thirsty. And so you go up to the waters first when you get changed. It turns to blood. You can't drink blood. Throw some frogs in there. You can't, I mean, it's crazy, right? So we get thirsty for life. We get thirsty. And then what happens? They go after the food. You can't eat. You got no food. You got no livestock. You got no crops. You're getting eaten alive by locusts. You got no substance for life. You can't taste life anymore. This is cause for celebration. And then what happens? It's so great. This is like so huge for me, Because you know how much I love Torah, listeners. And you know when I go like, this is like, oh God, it proves it's coated the soul and all that stuff. But this is what happens, darkness. Okay, before the death of the firstborn, before death, before change, before the end, before we finally sacrifice a piece of ourselves, what happens is this. It's dark. The dark night of the soul. You're depressed. Are you depressed out there, listeners? I hope so. I hope you know what you're supposed to do and you can't do it because you're so depressed, because guess what? The dark comes before the dawn. This is the moment. This is the moment right before you're ready to cut yourself off. You're ready to die. And that's the truth. You're ready to go. When the Pharaoh in you is ready to die. And this is pretty harsh. Ready to change. That dark. And then that's it. That's when the freedom happens. That's when the freedom happens. That's when it happens. So this is the good news. And how are we going to speed this up? Because the space that Viktor Frankl was talking about, that's what I want to work on with our guests today when we talk about freedom. Because freedom is all about that ability to not speed up the plagues, but kind of ride the plagues a little faster. And how we do that is with tools of freedom. And we've talked about them on the show. We've talked about, the 3 Ps, prayer, being around people that care about us, and purpose. And the most important one I want you to get in touch with is the one exercise I taught you a few weeks, the ONE. Go outside and notice everything. Because we are out of the flow, people. We are out of the river. We are out of the trees. We are stuck in bondage to material things, to our old ideas. Those bricks that those Israelites lay, those bricks that we lay inside ourselves when we turn against what we know, the world is changing. Who we're supposed to be with isn't who we know we're supposed to be with. Who mom said we should marry, that's the same when you have your own income. You know what I'm saying? You're not looking for the nice Jewish doctor anymore. You're looking for somebody who's as empowered as you. Somebody who can accept your own individuality. But you're going to lay bricks. You're going to go on J-Date, and you're going to do that. You're going to lay some more bricks in your pyramids. Okay? So this is about compassion. This is so exciting. So I want you to remember this. I want you to remember this, listeners. We're talking about freedom. And I want you to know you're taking your first step with me today towards freedom, because freedom begins when you realize that you want to be free. Freedom begins to realize when you begin this process of, oh my gosh, I'm not free. Oh my gosh, other people are holding my puppet strings. Other people have decided where I'm going in life. So we'll be right back. This is Rabbi Jenny. We're talking about what is freedom. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit.
Hi, it's Rabbi Jenny from the Rabbi Jenny Show. Are you planning a wedding, baby naming, or bar bat mitzvah? Have you recently adopted a pet, bought a new home, or opened a new business? Do you have an important anniversary coming up and would like to renew your vows? Have you recently lost a loved one and need some compassion and care through this process? These are some of the many life events that touch our lives. It is at these moments that we need a special person for guidance and compassion and care to officiate and guide us through those moments. Call me, Rabbi Jenny, at 561-346-8207 to guide you and officiate these life events. 561-346-8207. Rabbi Jenny, for personal compassion and care and loving guidance for the important events of your life. The presidential candidates are talking about it. The talk show hosts are talking about it. It's all over the news. Maybe it's time you should start talking about it. Maybe it's time for you to get help. If you or someone you love is suffering from a heroin addiction, Epiphany Resources has the solution for you. Heroin addiction manifests in an apathy and a disinterest in life. At Epiphany Resources, Rabbi Jenny and her acclaimed clinical team reignite and empower their clients to embrace life for a bright future in recovery. With groundbreaking creative and spiritual modalities combined with narrative reframing and cognitive behavioral therapy, the team at Epiphany Resources neutralize the cravings for heroin and reawaken one's desire for joy and life. It's time to talk about it. It's time to heal. It's time to recover from heroin addiction. Contact Epiphany Resources at www.etcfl.com or call 561-777-0241. Epiphany Resources. It's time to begin. The after-school hours between 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. are when millions of children go home alone or are without adult supervision. Statistics have shown that during this time, gang involvement, teenage pregnancy, and drug use begins. For the past 15 years, For the Children, Inc., a place where children come first, has been a pioneer in providing quality after-school programming for underprivileged youth aged 5 to 18 in Palm Beach County. Our children are our future. To ensure their success, they must have equal access to quality educational, personal growth, and leadership tools. For the Children, Inc. provides them all. Donate now to For the Children, Inc. at www.forthechildrenfirst.org.
This public service announcement for the Children, Inc. was brought to you by the law offices of Manjula Caladini, Esquire, concentrating in immigration law. www.immigrationassociates.net. You have been listening to Rabbi Jenny, who asks, are you ready to bring more light and love and joy into your life? A spiritually uplifting show that will change your world. Call in at 888-565-1470 or email at rabbijenny.com and share your thoughts with Rabbi Jenny. Now, back to our show.
Hey, this is Rabbi Jenny. Welcome back. We are talking about freedom and what it is, and we are going to introduce our Tom, Dick, or Harry so we can get talking.
You're telling me Rabbi Jenny will talk to any Tom or Dick or Harry? Tom, any Dick, any Harry,
We are here with my dearest of dear friends, Pastor Jonathan Benz. I am so excited you're here. I have to get him on the show, by the way, to get to see him.
I know, that's how we connect.
Yeah,
now.
it's like...
It's pretty terrible.
Come be on a camera, Jonathan.
Right. Give me a camera and I'm there.
Right, I'm there.
Right.
I'll show up. So, actually, he took your book, but I do want to...
No, it's
there we go.
yeah,
Okay, we have it on the screen, but I want to talk... Jonathan's here today to promote his two books. I want to re-promote the first one, Live a Legacy, which is the perfect, I always say it's perfect back of the can book. I mean, it's just these little delicious inspirational stories. I love this book. And then his new book, The Recovery Minded Church, which is bringing knowledge of the 12 steps and knowledge of substance abuse recovery to the faith-based community.
And you endorsed the first book.
I did. I'm on it. Yeah, I think, you know what it is? He saw my book, though.
I did.
And said, I have to write one.
Right.
Yeah, we compete. It's great. It's good stuff. Not anymore, though. That's shifted.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So.
A little bit. So let's talk about freedom. Because what's going on with you? I mean, talk to the listeners. Where are you now? You're working at Life Skills?
I'm at Life Skills doing outreach and program development and freedom. My goodness. Freedom. I think we're all a work in process. I think I'm a work in process.
Yes, I hope so.
I hope so.
I hope I'm not done yet. That would stink.
I know. You know, it's funny because I was blogging the other day on my blog, which is jonathanbenz.com, by the way. But I was blogging about change, and you referenced that in the Torah reading. And, you know, the winds of change are going to blow in our lives.
Yes.
Because there's somewhere we need to be. And it's not always geographically. Sometimes it is. But there's a spiritual place we need to be. And I think that's really the essence of what we're talking about today, is how do we find that place of spiritual freedom where we're not bound by our job or by our relationships or by, you know, whatever our state of affairs at that moment, or even by our emotions.
It's kind of like the riding the wave that I was talking about. I'm studying right now. I'm listening to a class by Caroline Mace. You know how I adore her. She's absolutely fantastic. You can get her at the CMed Institute at miss.com. She's amazing. I finally got to see her. But she's really passionate right now about getting people back to their ordinary. And she doesn't mean that ordinary in a negative way, but ordinary in that we are part of the natural process. Right. It is not strange to change. It is not strange to grow. It is not strange to feel. It is not strange to go through the normal shedding and growing of every other thing on this planet. But we've so fooled ourselves by being stuck in our mind. It's stuck in our pharaoh, I think.
Well, I think that we conceptualize the divine as something out there, and we forget that the divine always shows up in the ordinary. And I think that's really the story in all of our faith traditions is how do we find the divine, what inerrant goodness, love with a capital L, however you frame it. How does that show up in everyday normal life, in the mundane?
Yes.
Because that's where I need God to show up for me, or my version of God.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the mundane things in my life if I get caught in my head, that stuff will pull me down. My day-to-day schedule, or the challenges or the stress or whatever it is, or people, usually myself.
Right.
Right? So stepping out, and I like what you were saying in that first part about that in-between space where grace appears, and learning how to hold that space and be okay.
Bigger. Make it bigger.
Yeah.
And I think it's the freedom of choice. I think choice is freedom. I think to choose to act rather than react. That's what that is. To have a moment. I have to tell you the funniest story, Jonathan. Okay, so you never know what's going to happen in your life. I swear. You just never know. I came out this morning with McLean, my dog, and sitting on my door front were 4 kittens. The mother, who gave birth to them on my patio so fairly, like she did, put them there.
Really?
And I could feel her. I could feel her saying, "You have to take them now." And I don't want I don't want any kittens. But it was like I knew and she was very protective when I tried to put them out, and there was a fight and there were sticks and it was crazy. But I realized as I'm doing this now, because I've spent so much time making that space a little bit bigger, that I had a choice to be overwhelmed and angry at this thing that was taking my time before I had to get ready for work and walk the dog and or I could just laugh and that's the freedom. That how do you think people can do that? How can they get that freedom to choose the next right thing? I guess I don't know.
Well, I think for me, I have to slow down and stop resisting because I want to control it and manipulate it, and I don't kick the cats off the stoop. Whatever it is, you're in my way. Instead of going, oh wait, no, there are kittens here on this. What does this mean?
Right.
And not that I'm saying to apply too much meaning to something, but to stop and really be present in the moment. Because most of the way we are, at least in the culture I live in, it's hard to be present. It's go, go, go. Next appointment, next this. Look at your iPhone for the next thing. And even learning to put down the iPhone or the Android and turn off the apps and put it down.
Let me just tell you that I would have been boop. I would have gotten so much trouble from Oprah Winfrey, who was like, don't text. I have my cell phone and I have my laptop set up with my iTunes so I can listen to this class with Caroline Mace. I was looking over at my passenger seat, which wasn't full of any passenger or human being. It was full of a computer, a cell phone, and I was like, this is not good.
The other thing that helps me with freedom is I can choose to say no. And I don't have to say yes to everything because I'm afraid of missing out. I learned a new word recently with some friends in New York, or a new term. I guess I'm a little slow, but FOMO.
FOMO, what's that?
Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out. I love this.
And
Fear
I think
of missing
that in
out.
our culture, because everything is Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and you can, like my brother has in his back, I guess he still has it, he has 6 televisions set up for Sunday games. And his friends come over. We are so afraid of, he's probably going to be mad at me, but he won't watch this anyway, so it doesn't matter. But we're so afraid of missing out.
But that wasn't free that you worried about your brother. That was it. That was it.
He doesn't care. That's right. He called me the day and we called each other out. It's fine. But you know what? Here's the thing with fear of missing out. It comes from the place of scarcity. So learning how to deal with this scarcity. So when I live in scarcity, and I've talked about this here on your program before, I'm not good enough. There's not enough provision for me, which is the opposite of abundance.
Talk about the plagues, though. That's the plague.
Yeah.
That's the story.
Everything's
I don't have enough food. Well,
right.
And Pharaoh's first response is, wait a minute, I won't have my Israelites to build all my big pyramids.
Right.
Wait a minute. I'm afraid. I'm gonna miss out
Right.
on my big buildings, and then he ends up really,
And, I think that the trials and the difficulties in my life, the things that cause me duress, when you were talking earlier, I was thinking, really, those are all meant to sort of kill the Pharaoh within me, to kill the hardness of heart. It's like that, and it's like life just happens, just so my life will stay open and pliable. And I was going through something recently, and I went to my therapist. I was actually leaving town, and I called the therapist. I said, I have a flight out tomorrow night, but I need to see you right before. He sort of got me in. Everybody needs a good therapist, in my opinion, by the way, but a good one.
Yes.
And I said to him, sometimes I feel like I'm being swallowed up. And he goes, well, that's because you're open to so much goodness that At the same time, you feel open to all these wonderful things. All this other stuff is overwhelming too. And I think learning how to deal with the sensitivity in our souls or our spirit, however you conceptualize it, that sometimes we forget these things go hand in hand. When I open myself up to many possibilities, a lot of stuff can happen.
Yeah.
But I have to be willing to die and let the Pharaoh die. You know, in the Christian tradition, we call it dying to ourselves.
Right, absolutely.
Or the flesh, which really was the ego, is what it was talking about. Dying to my ego, my desire, my wants, and going, okay, that's what freedom is.
Yes.
Is,
when you can actually do it on purpose, that's freedom.
Yeah.
That's that space, Viktor
and I go,
Frankl.
oh, this is what's happening now. Oh, no, I got to let that go. And then that's when the grace appears.
Yes.
I think that's hard to do without grace.
I think it's hard to do without a regular spiritual practice. I think that freedom begins when the moment you engage some sort of a spiritual practice in your life. And that spiritual practice, my friends, can just be simply taking your shoes off and walking on the grass for a few minutes a day. Like, it's making a conscious commitment to get back into the flow, because the heart is hard and all the natural resources dry up. So it's by loosening that up and getting in the flow. So what are some of the things that you do, Jonathan, in your spiritual practice?
Well, I have to check in with people I trust when I'm really going through it. And I say people I trust. You can't check in with everybody.
No.
Not everyone has earned the right to speak into your life at deep levels.
Yes.
So you have to be with people who have earned the right to hear your story, who've journeyed with you for a while. And so I check in with those folks, and sometimes I'm like, "Hey, am I losing it here?" You know, or what's going on? And they reframe the conversation for me. They reframe the narrative. I make up stories in my head sometimes that are not true representations of what's happening. So I have to have people in my life who say, "No," and I go, "Oh yeah, you're right." And then sometimes I stop and I also think, "What would I tell somebody who's going through what I'm going through?" And then I give that same advice to me. And so I have to sort of go into my higher self or my spiritual self and, like you say, have compassion and sort of look down on myself, and I go, okay, hey, if somebody came to me and they were saying, what would I say to them? And then I tell that to myself. Then I might have to practice it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to practice what we preach, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's an important point, because to maintain your freedom, to maintain that space, you do have to consider it a little sacred. You do have to become choosier about who you let in there.
I have to value me.
Yes.
And that's not a narcissistic venture. That means that I am valued, I'm valuable, I'm sacred, and valuing the sacredness within me and being careful who I let into those places.
We'll be right back talking about freedom with Jonathan Benz.
Triumphantly, won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have.
The presidential candidates are talking about it. The talk show hosts are talking about it. It's all over the news. Maybe it's time you should start talking about it. Maybe it's time for you to get help. If you or someone you love is suffering from a heroin addiction, Epiphany Resources has the solution for you. Heroin addiction manifests in an apathy and a disinterest in life. At Epiphany Resources, Rabbi Jenny and her acclaimed clinical team reignite and empower their clients to embrace life for a bright future in recovery. With groundbreaking creative and spiritual modalities combined with narrative reframing and cognitive behavioral therapy, the team at Epiphany Resources neutralize the cravings for heroin and reawaken one's desire for joy and life. It's time to talk about it. It's time to heal. It's time to recover from heroin addiction. Contact Epiphany Resources at www.etcfl.com or call 561-777-0241. Epiphany Resources. It's time to begin.
The after-school hours between 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. are when millions of children go home alone or are without adult supervision. Statistics have shown that during this time, gang involvement, teenage pregnancy, and drug use begins. For the past 15 years, For the Children, Inc., a place where children come first, has been a pioneer in providing quality after-school programming for underprivileged youth aged 5 to 18 in Palm Beach County. Our children are our future. To ensure their success, they must have equal access to quality educational, personal growth, and leadership tools. For the Children, Inc. provides them all. Donate now to For the Children, Inc. at www.forthechildrenfirst.org.
This public service announcement for the Children, Inc. was brought to you by the law offices of Manjula Caladini, Esquire, concentrating in immigration law. www.immigrationassociates.net.
Hi, it's Rabbi Jenny from the Rabbi Jenny Show. Are you planning a wedding, baby naming, or bar bat mitzvah? Have you recently adopted a pet, bought a new home, or opened a new business? Do you have an important anniversary coming up and would like to renew your vows? Have you recently lost a loved one and need some compassion and care through this process? These are some of the many life events that touch our lives. It is at these moments that we need a special person for guidance and compassion and care to officiate and guide us through those moments. Call me, Rabbi Jenny, at 561-346-8207 to guide you and officiate these life events. 561-346-8207. Rabbi Jenny, for personal compassion and care and loving guidance for the important events of your life.
You have been listening to Rabbi Jenny, who asks, are you ready to bring more light and love and joy into your life? A spiritually uplifting show that will change your world. Call in at 888-565-1470 or email at rabbijenny.com and share your thoughts with Rabbi Jenny. Now, back to our show.
Hey, welcome back. It's Rabbi Jenny. We're here with Pastor Jonathan Benz, and we are talking about what is freedom. And in the break, Jonathan and I were talking about what would have happened if Pharaoh would have just let them all go. Like, what would have happened if he would have just said, you know what, Moses, take them. Let's make them employees of the empire, and we'll build pyramids, and we'll take over the whole land. They'll work for us. It'll be great. Well, you know, what would have happened, and where in our own lives do we resist change like that, where it would have actually expanded things in our life? So you want to share, like, because you just had a recent situation where you had decided something very seriously.
Yeah, I put some things together and things didn't happen the way I thought. And can I read something I wrote the other day?
Sure.
I wrote this the other day, and I pulled out my phone here. It won't ring, I promise. But
okay.
It says, I sometimes feel like I must hold everything together and fully understand everything in order to navigate it. I think that's unneeded pressure. It's in the not knowing that we gain a higher understanding. And I think that's the design of life. When I stop resisting, I receive what I need. When I stop trying to figure everything out, things then begin to make sense.
Well, I think we're limited. I think what it is that, you know, they say, my grandmother used to always say, you make plans and God laughs. She didn't mean it in a positive way. I got to tell you. It was in a very, you know, cynical way. But what I look at that is like, God laughs because my thinking is so small. Yeah. I've only opened one door. There's like 50 other doors.
Well, it says somewhere, his ways are higher than our ways, his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. Well, one of the prophets said it, right? I forget which one, but it's one of your
I don't
prophets.
think so.
Maybe it's in the New Testament.
Might be Isaiah. Could it be? I don't know. Let's just give it to him and be corrected by a listener.
But the idea is, we think too small. I think too small. And I think that is a lot of the things that happen in our lives. It's to get us to think larger.
Yeah, and that's what the Moses does in us. That's that part of us that says, wait, this is wrong. This doesn't feel like what I want to do. This is something they did, but it doesn't fit me. It's too small. You know, so if you're listening, I want you to look into your life with Jonathan and I and take the support of us. And where in your life have you made a plan? Where in your life are you getting yourself really frustrated because it's not going, letting go, it's not going the way you want? And where could you engage a spiritual practice? Because before the break, we were talking about creating that sacred space. And I know that you do things every day to take care of yourself. Meditation, prayer, talking to people who support you. These are some of the suggestions. And it can be really simple. Anything that can get you in the rhythm, I think. Going out and looking at the stars at night. That can be amazing. You know, reading a good book that you just happen to see. The bookstore is a great way to practice speeding this thing up. You know, just walk through the big bookstore and pick a book just 'cause. Just pick it up. Don't don't even ask why you're picking it up. And then open it up and see what it has to say. Like, open yourself up to the rhythm. Open yourself up to a different kind of flow. You know, they call it like intuitive shopping, or, you know, that you can just start to walk to a different rhythm. So, where do you think is the biggest? Well, you said your biggest challenge, but what about right now? Where do you need to be more free, my friend?
Going with the flow. I think it's exactly what you're saying.
Right.
And being okay. Here's what's tough. Being okay with the, when I sit up, it's going to be
I know, it's going to be
right?
serious. I'm strapping
Being
in.
okay with the in-between spaces.
Yeah.
It's I am, let's get there now. But it's in that in-between space that something is being created.
Yes.
That's where you're being developed. That's where my character is being honed. That's where I'm walking into who I was really created to be.
It's the old seed in the soil thing.
Yeah.
Like if you wait, remember when you were a kid, you get those beans and you get the little egg carton and you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait and you're like, nothing's happening, and then boom, it poops up. A lot was happening.
Right.
There's a lot happening in the dark.
What? Exactly. Take the words right out of my mouth. In the darkness is where that creation and that recreation is happening. And that's where we're being reborn, as your thing over here said.
Well, it's true. It's the darkness comes and then the slaying of the firstborn. That's not any different, my friends, and I may freak people out, but that's not any different than in the New Testament or in the Christian Bible.
Right.
If that's, the story of the crucifixion and the resurrection. It's that same exact imagery, sometimes the same time of year.
Right.
So we want to look at these as stories and codes and things, manuals for life that are written in different ways to speak to different people, but they always talk of that moment of surrender, that moment of, okay, take me. Okay, take me, because when I let you take me, I'm going to be bigger. I'll be everywhere, Did you ever see the movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson?
I don't think so.
Okay, this movie, listeners, I might have even talked about it last week, but it's about a woman who is used as a mule against her, a drug mule against her will, to carry this new drug that's going to let you use 100% of your brain. And it's a fantastic movie, and it's a fantastic movie about this, about we grow and grow and grow. We can always grow and we can always expand, and when we do expand, we see our oneness with everything. And she becomes one with everything. It's sci-fi. It's Morgan Freeman. It's fantastic. Check it out. But this is a tricky topic because you might be listening to Jonathan and I and thinking, well, this is, I know I want to do something in my life, and I know I just can't. And that's the moment of compassion. And that's when you start these things that we're suggesting. You don't beat yourself up because you're not ready to move on and change jobs. If you feel like you want to, do something artistic, you don't have to quit your job and become a graphic designer or go back to school for art. You could literally just go get a Zen Doodle book at the bookstore and things will change.
Right.
Because you're listening to a different voice.
Right.
You're listening to Moses, not Pharaoh.
Right.
And where is your greatest example of that? Because you've had some times in your life where you were told to go opposite of where it looked like you should. What do you think?
A lot of times.
a lot of times.
Hello. I think really going deeper and listening to, I call it listening to my spirit or listening to my guts, to my intuition. And for me, that is the voice of spirit or the voice of God within me. When I'm aligned with that, that inner voice is indistinguishable with my intuition as well. That's the oneness that we talk about, right? The echad, right? The oneness that's within Judaism, which is so lovely. This idea that when we connect to that, but when I'm up here, in here, or here, too much emotional going on in here, and sometimes we got to follow our heart, but sometimes my heart can also be a tricky place because there's an interplay. Yes,
the motive,
right?
Is the motive just survive?
Right.
Where's the motive coming? Is the motive coming from fear, or is it coming from love?
Love. Right.
And I think that's the question. Right. It's like that gut voice can feel, I can get a gut instinct. I can walk into a room and point, feel the craziest person in the room. That's not the highest path.
Right. Right.
The highest path isn't to run away and, and get in that space. There's another gut.
Right. And to not get sidetracked by that. Because I think, too, if you are spiritually sensitive, oftentimes people who are spiritually sensitive are also highly emotionally sensitive as well.
Yes.
And sometimes we confuse emotion with spirit. At least I do. So learning for me, I have to know, is this something coming from maybe some crazy place in my psyche or in my Jungian collective unconscious, or an old imprint, something old in my DNA that needs to be... for lack of a better word, I use a religious word, redeemed or rescued or saved or something, or just completely let go.
Do the opposite.
Right. Yeah, just a new encoding.
Right.
So learning to distinguish between those parts of my psyche with that which truly is spirit guiding me and leading me.
And to know you have a choice. The moment you notice, the moment you step outside your reaction, remember we're talking about the difference between reacting and acting, you step outside of it. You see that you're reacting, but you don't actually take the action.
Right.
You feel it, and you go, wait a minute, I have a choice here. I can do the same thing I've always done, which is run away, quit, not get close, whatever the old thing is you used to do.
So identifying the patterns.
Yes.
And how we identify the patterns by recognizing the outcomes that worked and didn't work for us.
Yes. And we do that in therapy, and we do that with people we trust. We do that through journaling and becoming comfortable in your own space. Doesn't mean you're going to be comfortable in your own skin, by the way, for a while, but to be comfortable being in your own space, taking time, just a little bit of time. I think we both would encourage you to do that, listeners. This journey of freedom is first the freedom to be out alone with a burning bush. Yeah. I mean, Moses left, by himself, stranger in a strange land. See ya, and that's when he began to grow and change and found his purpose.
Right.
And that's the character or the actual person, whichever way you want to go. This isn't supposed to make you think too much about that. Just use it to inspire you to take these actions in faith that many, many, many people, that's the pattern, guys. This is the code. There's no other code. You can't know yourself if you don't spend time with yourself, right?
Makes sense.
What about the fear of being alone or abandoned?
Oh, what are you, like, reading my mail today or something?
No, but he was abandoning Pharaoh.
It was funny recently. I told 3 people recently. I'm getting so vulnerable now. So I'm going to have my Brene Brown moment to be courageous. 3 times I've had to say in the last week to people. This is a lesson for me now.
Okay.
I hate you sometimes.
Oh,
I love you.
God,
I love you. She's making me get real here in front of everybody.
I adore you.
We are never alone.
Never.
We are never alone. And recently I said, I feel alone. And I would hear this voice say, you are never alone. That's been a refrain of my life. And I think we have to realize we are never alone. We are always connected. And the lie is that we think that we're alone. Or that we think that we're all by ourselves. And, and my grandfather, one of my grandfathers used to say, when you're alone, you're in the best company. And I think that's because he also realized that when he was alone, he was connecting to his true self and to the God of his understanding. And he found some spiritual communion there. I also think he's a little bit of an introvert, too. But for those of us who are extroverts, who love to be with people, that's hard. I want
to pass this on to listeners. This is something that I'm doing, and you'll hang out for the last piece with me here. Pastor Jonathan Benz, check him out, jonathanbenz.com, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But this is an affirmation for you for today. I choose to see the love in my life. I choose to see the love in my life, because there's a lot of it around you, listeners, and you just need to see it, and that's freedom. Okay? We'll be right back.
Great.
Stand aside and look. Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book.
The after-school hours between 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. are when millions of children go home alone or are without adult supervision. Statistics have shown that during this time, gang involvement, teenage pregnancy, and drug use begins. For the past 15 years, For the Children, Inc., a place where children come first, has been a pioneer in providing quality after-school programming for underprivileged youth aged 5 to 18 in Palm Beach County. Our children are our future. To ensure their success, they must have equal access to quality educational, personal growth, and leadership tools. For the Children, Inc. provides them all. Donate now to For the Children, Inc. at www.forthechildrenfirst.org.
This public service announcement for the Children, Inc. was brought to you by the law offices of Manjula Caladini, Esquire, concentrating in immigration law. www.immigrationassociates.net.
Hi, it's Rabbi Jenny from The Rabbi Jenny Show. Are you planning a wedding, baby naming, or bar bat mitzvah? Have you recently adopted a pet, bought a new home, or opened a new business? Do you have an important anniversary coming up and would like to renew your vows? Have you recently lost a loved one and need some compassion and care through this process? These are some of the many life events that touch our lives. It is at these moments that we need a special person for guidance and compassion and care to officiate and guide us through those moments. Call me, Rabbi Jenny, at 561-346-8207 to guide you and officiate these life events. 561-346-8207. Rabbi Jenny, for personal compassion and care and loving guidance for the important events of your life. The presidential candidates are talking about it. The talk show hosts are talking about it. It's all over the news. Maybe it's time you should start talking about it. Maybe it's time for you to get help. If you or someone you love is suffering from a heroin addiction, Epiphany Resources has the solution for you. Heroin addiction manifests in an apathy and a disinterest in life. At Epiphany Resources, Rabbi Jenny and her acclaimed clinical team reignite and empower their clients to embrace life for a bright future in recovery. With groundbreaking creative and spiritual modalities combined with narrative reframing and cognitive behavioral therapy, the team at Epiphany Resources neutralize the cravings for heroin and reawaken one's desire for joy and life. It's time to talk about it. It's time to heal. It's time to recover from heroin addiction. Contact Epiphany Resources at www.etcfl.com or call 561-777-0241. Epiphany Resources. It's time to begin.
You have been listening to Rabbi Jenny, who asks, are you ready to bring more light and love and joy into your life? A spiritually uplifting show that will change your world. Call in at 888-565-1470 or email at rabbijenny.com and share your thoughts with Rabbi Jenny. Now, back to our show.
Hey, it's Rabbi Jenny. Welcome back. We're talking about freedom. What is it? We're talking about Passover, the exciting, the freedom from the bondage of self and the bondage of the old ideas. It is time, I believe, for our Joy Jar challenge, and we have a caller.
Joy, 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 joy.
So
It's
exciting.
Adeline Gobergstein, and it's time for the Rabbi Jenny Ridiculous Joy Jar Challenge.
Hi, is this Tracy?
Hi, Rabbi Jenny. This is Tracy. How are you?
Tracy, I have to tell you, your artwork is unbelievable.
Oh,
You have to come and talk about what you do on the show. Your artwork, there's a piece, I have to look back at the website. Tracy Roan, everybody, she's an amazing artist. Where are you from, Tracy?
I'm from Jamaica originally.
Okay. Do you want to do the Joy Jar Challenge first and then we'll chat for a second?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, give me 10 things, girl.
10 things that bring me joy?
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing is when I hear my daughter's voice,
Yes.
and I hear the twinkle between the musical notes, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but that brings me joy. When my dog rolls over on his belly and he wants me to scratch it. The third thing is the fact that I'm living the life that I love right now, and so that brings me a lot of joy. The fourth thing is that I am blessed to have my mother in my life. The fifth thing is I just converted to Judaism, so I'm very happy about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome.
And
That was a lot of work. Good for you.
it's funny.
It's true.
What number was I at?
Oh, you're at 6. 6, 7, I don't know.
Okay.
Go with it.
Okay, so 6. Goodness. I'm working with like an amazing bunch of artists right now. We're doing a documentary, and everything has been sort of like falling into place. I don't know if the word is serendipitously or it's just perfectly aligned and amazing in every way. Falling into place, yeah. So that brings me joy. I finished my transcendental meditation course, which was also amazing because I get joy from that twice a day.
Okay. And one more thing.
I like wearing black every day.
You wear black every day?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so like beatnik. I'm digging it. I'm liking it. You need to be in the village in like, what is it, the 60s or something. Okay, anyways, Miss Tracy Roan. Miss Tracy Roan is an amazing artist. Tell us what you'd like to promote today on the Rabbi Jenny Show.
Okay, I want to promote today my documentary that I'm going to submit to Sundance. It's called Tribe 305.
Wow.
And you can go on the website, www.tribe305.com.
Does the soundtrack include Trick Daddy? I'm sorry.
No.
A little inside 305 joke. Sorry.
You're so funny. I gotta add that to my page, my Facebook page today. So, you're so funny. So, it's about a group of 4 artists as they rediscover themselves on film and what drives them, what is their impetus, and what influences their art. Is it their life or is it their actual art, And so we also have a mentor, which is a 2-time award Grammy-winning artist called Mario Rosado, and he's been wonderful with them.
Wow.
And so that's what I would like to promote today.
Wonderful. And Trace, would you come on the show?
Absolutely.
Maybe with some people from the movie?
With you. Yes.
I would actually love it. Now, we're emailing right now currently, so can I just contact you through email and we'll set a date?
Absolutely.
Okay, my dear. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for calling the Rabbi Jenny Show.
Thank you. Sending you lots of love.
Okay, you too. Stay joyful.
Okay, bye.
Oh, you guys got to check out her website, Tracy Roan. She's obviously living a very life full of freedom because she's an artist. She does regression therapy, and I was shocked. I was like, wow. And you know what? It marks the first actual caller fan of the Rabbi Jenny Show, I think, which is very, very exciting. It's only been a year, and it's already happening, and Jonathan brought us good luck. So it's time. We're going to do a little funky, actually, it's a little islandy. We're doing a little conga beat for the Jenny Jam. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, yo, jam, jam, Rabbi Jenny Jam.
See, it's a little islandy. Water to drink, it turned to blood. The heart is hard, ain't got no love. No creature to stand, no fruit to eat. The heart is hard, ain't got no beat. Let go and let your spirit take you. Let go and answer to your soul. Let go and let your brothers make you. There is a place for you to grow. Flow down that river. Watch that tree glow. Flow down that river. Watch that tree glow. Got no ties to me. Got no bricks to lay. Gonna fly free, sweet love. Okay, ready. No light to see, put out the sun. That heart is hard, don't love no one. No life to live, just laid it down. That heart is hard, don't make a sound. Let go and let your spirit take you. Let go and answer to your soul. Don't let your past or father break you. There is a place for you to grow. Flow down that river. Let that tree glow. Flow down the river. Watch that tree glow. Got no ties to me. Got no bricks to lay. Gonna fly free, sweet love. Got no ties to me. Got no bricks to lay. Gonna fly free, sweet love. I have to tell you, listeners, my son is teaching me garage band, and it is opening up. I don't know, you're going to have banjo on the show next week, is all I got to tell you. I'm like learning how to loop stuff. I'm learning how to put music together. These drums are really inspiring me. I want to read you a quote by Nelson Mandela. And he's written many things about freedom, but the most wonderful thing about Nelson Mandela is he is the advocate of not a short road. There's a long road. He's always the first one to tell us that we are not afraid of our darkness. We are actually afraid of our light, and it is the journey through the darkness that we have to go through to find our light. He is quoted by oh goodness, what is her name? She wrote Return to Love. Fantastic book. Anyways, okay, so Nelson Mandela said this: "There's no easy walk to freedom anywhere. And many of us will have to pass through the valley of the shadow of death again and again before we reach the mountaintop of our desires. So this is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is it, listeners. I'm so glad you've been here on the Rabbi Jenny Show, but this is where I light you up just a little bit. And we talk about freedom. We talk about where are you going to be free? Where is the time for you to break free? Where's the little Moses voice inside of you telling you it's time to let go of something? And where are you freaking yourself out? Where are you afraid? Because this is the time to engage some of these spiritual practices that we've been talking about on the show. This is time to get into prayer. Whatever that prayer is. And prayer can be simply a dance. Putting on a song that you love. Could be Trick Daddy. I don't know. But you could be just in sheer joy, celebrating the gift of life that is yours. And that is a prayer. That is a prayer to who you are. That is a prayer to the reality of just existing at all. Then you want to get into the contact with people who honor you, who honor your truth. You know, there's a saying, to thine own self be true. You know, most 12-step fellowships, that's what they adhere to. To thine own self be true is very, very hard. But it's a lot easier when you surround yourself with other people who are actually truly being true to themselves. And be careful, because sometimes it can look like people are being true to themselves, but they're still connected to some sort of tribal thought pattern. They're surrounding themselves to people who are co-signing their own untruth. So you got to be careful to that. But then you want to get yourself into purpose. You want to get yourself thinking about what do you want to do, and don't stop thinking about it. What do you want to do? Not to be special or anything, but what do you want to do to use those gifts, use those things about you, listeners, that is so exceptional. Whatever it is, just the ability to love a little bit more. Give a bigger hug next time you hug somebody. This is Rabbi Jenny wishing you freedom, love, and joy in this Passover season. Enjoy your families. I'll talk to you next week. This is One to Replay. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
You have been listening and lighting up your life with Rabbi Jenny. Join us next week for another session of love, light, and joy as Rabbi Jenny takes life to the next level. Are you ready? Rabbi Jenny says the time is now.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were